Hey, good afternoon, Bob, Trade Genius, the 27th of January, and I want to talk about the the new signal and how to load it and how to use it and how I trade it, and and then the setup I have, and from there you can then experiment on your own, but works well for me. And let me just go through it here with you really quickly. So I'll just talk summary, then I'll get more detail. So the my setup is I have the and it's all in the indicator area here. Okay, you click on indicator, and then you could just type in what it is that you want to load. Okay, so I have colored EMA, SMA, and the settings I have for that is I use a 25 and 8 to give me a look at the kind of trend direction. I don't display the 8. You can, but I don't. Some people like it to see if things are getting stretched, and so that's a good thing too, to look for like more like a slingshot opportunity. And and you see, um, it's it just gives you a good just direction to travel. Okay. The second thing I have is linear regression, and the format I have here is the upper is at 1.8, the lower is at minus 2.2. And the reason why I bias it to the downside is that they like to hunt stops. And if you're in a trade and algorithms like to look at two standard deviations of channels, I just go a little bit below that, make sure it's truly wanting to go down. And other than that, and on the upside, I'm a little bit on the short side. I want to take profit. There's so many opportunities trading the cryptos that if you get stopped out of a trade, you just put your hunting mask back on and you go out and you find the next buy signal, and you just keep doing it. And you know, I'm happy finding 5 and 10 percenters. Occasionally, you're going to get a 100% move. That's great. But if you just get 5% a week, just the ridiculousness of this. 5% a week, every 4 months, you're doubling your size of your portfolio. Where else can you do that? And you'll do better with the signal. It's just that's like my minimum to know whether or not what I'm doing is working or not. And in some cases, I'm getting 5% every 1 or 2 days. Sometimes you get even bigger moves. So I have a plan. You work your plan, but the signal is designed to let you get these scalps again and again and again and again. And then once we start trending, you can really run a trend. And I'll get to that in a minute too. The other area here is the volume, and I'll let me show you the format. And I'll show you where to get it. Is that um, so? I have number rows of 24. Just going to show up down volume, and the value area is 70%, which is you can read up on volume profiles, but I don't show the profiles. So I show the profiles. I don't show the value ranges though. I don't. It clouds up my system. When I trade futures, I look at it, but not for the cryptos. Okay, and where you go for this is when you hit the indicator, because it's not on the built-in side. It's over here in the favorites, and volume profiles right here. Okay, so you just go ahead and you grab that. And then here's one is it's called V stop and volatility stop, and I have that set to length of 20. Let me look in 20 bars back, and multiply 3 times the average of the 20 bars, their up down ranges, and then that helps me understand how to set a sell stop. And it does it for me automatically. And the way vol stop works is if you're buying something, that vol stop line is the lowest it's going to be, and it's going to slowly close in on your price, and just kind of gives you another tool to where maybe you might want to get out of a trade or set stops if you're not going to be in front of your computer. And on the style side here is I use a line. You can use other things. You can use dots if you want, or circles. See, depending on what you're most comfortable with. I like lines. It's kind of good visual for me. And you can do lines with breaks too if you want, and see how it steps down. But I like the line. And you can do a price line too here, so you can see where your price is. So your call. And then I have obviously my my Trade Genius short swing trader. Okay, and so now you're set up. Pretty easy setup. Let me close off this drawing area here. Is you have you have the channel now set. You have your line, you have your V stop. So somebody, if they're shorting this coin for whatever reason, so you're saying, hey, it'll keep coming down, I'm going to meet this thing here, the direction of trend may change. And so yesterday, I use this one example because I yesterday did a video on did you buy it here. We had a buy signal here at around 489. Okay, a 5% move takes it to 509, and we just been grinding higher. It almost got to the channel line here. I probably would have took profit on it, and now I'm waiting to see it, and probably use right here. It's starting to give me, as we're talking, it's saying, hey, we may be getting a crossover here on our signal, but that doesn't automatically mean to sell. But it's a pretty good indicator of exhaustion of the move. And so you have a couple choices. You can move stops up based on support areas, or you can move stops up based on where the moving average is, or you can move stops up based on the hitting the top of the channel, or when this is underneath price, you can use it as a stop too, and I'll show that to you in a second. So those are kind of the options. I'm still running with this trade, and if it gets up here to 509, I will I'll hop off. I have it trading against Bitcoin, so I'll roll right back into my Bitcoin again, and but it's positive against Bitcoin, which is good, and Bitcoin's moving up higher today, which is good too. So that's that. So let me show you one of the normal coins, and I'm going to get to ETFs in a second. So here's Bitcoin, and I just want to point out another trade that I do is that, see here, the trend's pretty flat, and what I do is I like to look out my screen to show primarily the last 100 days of the channel, and that's on the linear regression. We look back 100 days. So I failed to point that out to you last time here. And so we have a fairly flat channel, which means that it's basically just riding the channel here. And our indicator is based on money flows and up-down volume, and when it's favorable for accretion versus distribution. But what I do is especially with, I do it mostly with Litecoin because that's what I trade the most. But if something breaks the bottom of the channel on the hourly here, is that you take that trade and you set a stop. And it, here it showed us a buy signal before. I don't know exactly where the channel was at that point, but assume that you didn't take this purchase here, and you purchased it when it hit the channel here. And then you got a V stop that's underneath, and you can just basically ride this trade up. And when it gets to the top of the channel like this, you can take profit. And there's so many different options for trading that profit. So, some people get in and out completely. Some people will take half off. And again, I'm not talking about hodlers here. I'm talking about people that are trading it and trying to build their portfolio size during a consolidation. And shit. Hey, good afternoon, Bob, Trade Genius. 27th of January. I want to show you the Trade Genius short swing trader. This is good for cryptos and it's good for ETFs. I don't recommend it for individual stocks, and I don't. In this setting I have here, I'm not going to talk about really day trading the futures with it. Okay, it's good for swing trading the futures, though, and I'll get to that too. Let me just point out the chart setup for you. As you look at it, I have colored EMA, SMA, everything you can be found in the indicators here. And I have it set up to 25 and 8, but just showing the 25. It's just basically giving me kind of a bull bear line. Linear regression, more important to me. I have it set up at 1.8 to the top side, minus 2.2 on the bottom side, and I'm looking back 100 candles. And the reason why I have it skewed like this is that if it pops out of that channel and comes back in, I take profit. And if it gets down to the bottom of the channel, algos like to look at -2 standard deviation. So I want to make sure I get a close underneath that -2.2 as an exit if I'm in something and it looks like it's starting to fail. The other one I have is this is the volume profile, okay, and it's located here on the left side. Just want to show you over here. You want to find it here under volume profile. I only use the volume profile to look at the volume profile lines. There's a whole lot of other things you can turn on, point of control, value area, things of that nature. Just turn all that stuff off. You just want to look at the volume and price bars. Okay, that's what's most important. And we talked about using these in other videos. I'm not going to get into that today because the purpose here is really, we're talking about some momentum trading here. And then we have the V stop, which is volatility stop. And that is really just another way of kind of like a parabolic SAR. It's designed to help you look for exits over time. And I have it looking back 20 bars, and I have a multiplier of 3. And whenever it goes in there, it's the lowest it's going to be when you start the trade. And then it always going to get closer and closer to price till it takes you out. And again, you can adjust these to your to your point of view. It just works for me with what I'm trying to accomplish. And then we have the Trade Genius Short Swing Trader, which it's an indicator here. You just type that in. If you're a subscriber, you request access. If you're not a subscriber, we recommend that you subscribe, and we'll give you access to this as long as you're a subscriber to either ETF or crypto or both. And then now that we're set up, you could see here, and just a really quick look at the chart. Oh, hey, Digibyte is in a consolidation. It's drifting down. When you look at the channel here, it's, this is fairly benign. And what caught my interest is this is one that Phil's talked about before. And we had a test to the bottom of the channel here. We got a buy signal on it. We took the buy signal. I'm in this trade, by the way. I pointed this one out yesterday on the video. And I'm looking to get 5 to 10% on the trade if I can. And I'm just stepping up my stops. Now you have a number of options for setting stops. You can use the moving average as a guide. You can use a big volume bar like right here as a guide. You can use a sell signal when it pops up like here as a guide. Or if it busts the channel and comes back in, you can use that as a guide. Or you can have a sell limit at a predetermined profit zone. So if I'm away from my desk, like overnight or something, I'll put a predetermined profit zone in there. Or I may just close the trade so I don't have 8 hours of unobserved activity. Because I tend to go heavy on every one of these trades because I'm literally trying to double my portfolio every couple months. And so I usually watch these pretty closely and set stops just in case I'm wrong. But as you can see, the signal was good. It usually is. And this is not the ideal. You'd love to be buying on uptrend, so you can just search for anything you want over here. You can set your own thing in here, and you can just look for what you like and trade the signals. And so I'm going to show you Bitcoin now, because I'm going to show you another entry besides my signal that I like and I use, and it works. And that's if you and it's using the channel to your advantage. So you have Bitcoin right here. Okay, Bitcoin's been pretty flat too. You can see the this number here. It's kind of talking about the angle of attack. 0.15 is pretty flat, and so when that happens, the signal's not really helpful because it's kind of a meat of the move signal. It's smooth, so it's not looking for extreme moves, because if it was, then you'd be getting in and out of these things every like 20 minutes. So it's because the cryptos tend to have big wicks and candles, and you'd be chopped to death. So I like to look more for meat of the move, But what I do look for though is if it breaks down below the channel and comes back in, I'm a buyer. And I'll just ignore this buy signal for a minute, just pretend it's not there so we can just talk about, you know, okay, you're looking back on the channel here. This was a buy area here. You'd have bought Bitcoin here. And once it ran up over the channel, came back in, I would have took profit. Okay. And then now you're just in a chop zone here. There's no buy signal. You just ignore it. And then it came down here below again, came back in, you bought it, you'd still be in the trade. You got confirmation, and now V-stop's underneath, and you can use V-stop or you can use moving average to help you with the trade. Or you can look at the volume bar like, okay, hey, if it gets back to 11.2, I think I'll get out. Or if it starts climbing up a little higher, I'll use this as a volume bar, and I'll ignore, you know, the top of the channel. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. But until we break out of this range that Phil talks about, I'm in and out of these things because, you know, you're just going to be disappointed with no gains, and I'm gaining every day because until we break the range and start trending. And one thing you have to realize, and cryptos will be just like stocks here too, is that you tend to consolidate 80% of the time. You only trend like 20% of the time. So, so you know, you get in these consolidating markets, just work the channel, and you'll be happy you did. You get down here, you set a stop underneath here. You look for support, or you look for a support line, or whatever you want to do, and then you just drive the trade until you get to here, and then hop off, and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And I look at the daily to tell me that I'm still in consolidation, and we are. I'm waiting for the buy signal to come on this thing. It hasn't come yet. That's how good this thing is. Look where it's hit the short. I didn't make this stuff up. Look where it hit the buy, and it just exhausted itself. And now, just so you know too, I was in Bitcoin, and I got out before here. So I was out in this area here, and I didn't get back in. I thought this move was going to exhaust itself because of the futures coming out, and then we have this consolidation, which is very healthy, by the way. This is, you know, in normal, if you took Bitcoin away and called this something else, they would call this consolidation on high, because it's less than a third of the move up, and it's just that people taking profit, and people are buying into those people taking profit. Okay, so this is very, very, very healthy so far. So no need to worry about anything or be fudded out, if you will. And so that's that. And you know, and I trade Litecoin, and you know, look, Litecoin's the same thing here. Okay, so just waiting for a buy signal, and if not, you just trade it on the hourly. And for me, that's why I have this line right here. If it breaks this line here on the downside, then you potentially have a descending triangle, and you want to not be in Litecoin. But in the meantime, it's running up. I own Litecoin, and I'm trading it the same way. And once it busts this area here and comes back in, or if it breaks 178, I'm going to hop back into cash. So that's kind of what I'm doing on the crypto side, and it's just a very easy to use system, and I think you'll like it a lot. Now, you know, let's talk about ETFs here. So look at GLD. Okay, it's best on the hourly, and you have a couple choices again. You know, you look at if it breaks down below the channel, you know, you come back up, you buy it. But you know, here you got a buy signal here, and it's not important to catch the bottoms here or catch the tops. It's important that you call the meat in the middle. If you're catching at 60% inside the middle, you're going to grind out profits all day long. So you got a buy signal here, and then, you know, 126.04, and then it popped up to 127.60. Hey, that's a good trade, especially if you're using options. You hop off. You got a sell signal, now you wait. You got buy signal here at 127.14, and it ripped up to here to 129. Hey, you get out again. Came back in, and now we have a sell here. Now we're not quite sure what gold's going to do. So you watch it, but not just gold. You can put in oil. Okay, oil's been grinding the channel too, and you see here it popped above the channel, came back in, and if you're long oil from here to here, you're out. And you know, rinse and repeat. And you can do this on a daily too if you want. can run a trade, trend even harder. Okay, depending on how you like to trade, and then you can run the V stop all the way up. You can ignore popping in out of the channel. You can say, hey, if it hits 702, I'm out. And you got in at 670, and just that's 5% right there. So you could just keep trading that way. And then I want to make a suggestion on trading the triples. So I'll first show you DIG. Okay, so I think DIG is topping, so I'm watching this one. And you had, what was interesting to me here is that this is based on money flow, and so we've had a ramp here with no buy on the money flow, and which is really telling to me. So now we're up, we're in, and I'm looking for potential sell signal. If you go back to the hourly on it, okay, it's given us one, and this is a triple. So you get these sell signals. You would have probably went ahead and could have went puts here, and you would have had a nice run down. You would have got out when it broke back up above the V stop line, and that's a nice trade. You're probably $300-400, and you just keep doing it over and over again. When we look at VXX, this one likes to go down a lot. So what you do is you just simply watch for opportunities, and especially when, which is this kind of unusual, VXX on an upswing. That's why it gives me a little nervousness about the market. But you could sell these sell signals here. See at 27, came down, hit 26. This is you buy puts. This is a couple $100. Okay, now it's running up again, and it's still in the buy signal. So you wait for the next sell signal on it, and you just do it again, and you just chop out trades. And then I'm going to show you UNG. This is an area I trade natural gas a lot, and natural gas works the same way. On the hourly, it's really been pushing higher. This is counter trend to the way natural gas likes to work. It likes to work the same way as VXX. The way the future contracts roll tend to want to push it down. We've had some big moves here because this is all the weather related and storage issues, and it's still on a buy, but we're at a point here pretty close where we'll start seeing a sell signal on it. And when you get a sell signal on UNG, the trend becomes your friend on the on larger time frames. As you can see here, is blown through the channel. If it comes back down into this channel here, you get a sell signal anywhere in here. It's a good trade to take, especially going